Hi there. Now, I also want to do a video. We live in this world where we have people in all kinds of different, cultural environments, natural environments, involved in different activities. In my previous video, or perhaps it'll end up being the next video, but I compliment Benny, who's located in Brazil, where he's studying Arabic, and from Brazil he's put together this wonderful video about people singing in different languages. And I was recently in northern Alberta here in Canada, and some of you may know that my main career activity has been in the forest products industry. A wonderful industry, sustainable, renewable. Some of the misguided environmentalists get all excited because trees get cut down, trees get planted, and wherever you have an industrial forest or an economic forest, you actually have more trees growing than were there before. Yes, the ecosystem changes. Yes, we have 7 billion people on the planet where we used to have a few hundred million. And as a result, the ecosystem has changed. You cannot freeze the ecosystem. The world has grown warmer, colder, we have more people, things change. Where we operate, generally speaking, the wildlife has been increasing with the exception of the caribou. And we now have plans in place to mitigate negative impacts on the caribou. It would appear that one of the reasons is that the population of moose has grown, and therefore the wolves who prefer to go after moose because they're bigger. And the moose are now roaming around in areas that were previously the preserve of the caribou, and the caribou are sort of solitary, less attractive to the wolf, but as the wolf discovers, thanks to them following the moose, discovers the caribou, they're attacking the caribou. We don't know all of the reasons why, but the caribou are declining, so we're having to take steps in our logging practices to mitigate negative impact on the caribou, and we will be seeing these results. But our forests abound in wildlife, but obviously things change. We try in most of our reforestation to mimic what was there before. If it's a mixed aspen spruce forest, we will try to maintain sort of a mixed forest. If it was heavier to spruce, we will plant spruce, which is perhaps not natural, because normally the natural regeneration would be to aspen with the spruce and coming in underneath the aspen. Most of the forests here were typically regenerated by forest fires caused by, lightning in the summer and so forth and so on. But I wanted to share with you, because I recently had to go up to Manning, where I'm involved with a sawmill up there. It's the annual Christmas party, and of course at this time of year it's a little chilly up there. It got up to -41 one morning. And so this is by way of intro to the videos that I took with my iPhone. I hope they turn out okay. So just to let you know that I do have other things on my mind than just language learning. So look forward to any comments you might have on these shots that I took with my iPhone. Thanks for listening. And here we are in the Peace Country, and this is representative of what it's like. You see in this particular forest, the poplar trees tower over the spruce trees, and here the spruce trees have taken over, and basically those are the two kinds of trees that grow in this area, poplar and spruce. The poplar typically is the first to come back, and then the spruce grows underneath the poplar, and interspersed with the forest is farmland. We're quite far north here. We're almost, 60 degrees north? Close to 60 degrees north. In a way, it's a harsh climate, but there's forest up here. There's oil. Here we have a little farm over here on the other side. Looks like they've got cattle over there. There's always lots of truck traffic here because this is the main road up to the Northwest Territories. Here we see some farmland again. And we are headed towards Manning, and we're about to come across one of the early farmhouses here. We see a little Canadian flag. We'll go by quite quickly as we just passed it, and that's one of the early houses here.
when people came up and, you know, at a time when they didn't have modern conveniences, and converted this forest into farmland. And, at certain times of the year, we see the northern lights, and the forest is kind of like mixed hardwood, softwood, occasional bog and marsh area, and of course farmland, and fairly monotonous. In other words, for many hundreds of miles in every direction, it's more or less the same. Here you see a typical farm, lots of equipment, a small house, and typically a large several sections, many acres. We're coming up to an area that's, here we see an area that's heavier to spruce. May not be able to make it out here behind that farm. And of course the spruce is the more valuable species because it can be used for lumber, whereas the aspen is used for pulp. So we're coming closer to the spruce forest here. The average tree is going to be 90, 100 years old by the time it's harvested. And when we get closer to the sawmill, we'll show you pictures of the regeneration, because we planted trees there some 15 years ago, and you'll see that they're growing. And the temperature is dropping, so we suspect that it may even go lower. What's the prediction, Richard?
Minus 28.
Minus 28. We're going to get to minus 28. But it's beautiful country. It's you know, it's flat, I guess, but the you know, the horizons are huge, and the danger here when you're driving at night is that you will run into animals. Deer will damage your car, and the moose will kill you, basically. And this is your typical farmland up here. It's very flat. They grow what? Wheat. What else? Rapeseed, I guess. Canola, yeah. And here we see a typical farm. Lots of equipment. They're not too active in the winter, obviously. I don't know what all those little shacks are. And yeah, farmland. A beautiful day. 20 below is just about ideal conditions here for the winter. We both agree that 40 below is not so much fun. Not so much fun, but 20 is good, and the land is quite flat. Here we are at Manning Diversified. It's 32 below zero, and they're logging 24 hours a day, and this is a logging truck that's being unloaded. And the button top loader is picking up these sticks and piling them. And here the logging basically takes place during the winter, so they're just starting to bring in wood, and at the end of 3 months they'll have a year's supply of logs for the mill, and the mill is right behind us here. We can see it off in the distance. We'll get over to the mill a little later, but all of this space here, and there we see another load of logs, big trees being put into the pile, and yeah, and that's what it is. And it's 32 degrees below zero. It was we went snowshoeing yesterday, but we're not going to go today because it's too cold. And here we have some further parts of the operation. They make pellets here, utilizing the waste, and these pellets are shipped to homes, and increasingly they're used in power plants. Here we have the pellets. In the background are the dry kilns, and the dry kilns are fired by the waste again. And in the back, that large building there is the sawmill. We won't go into the sawmill. And here we have some lumber sitting around, so it gives you a bit of a sense of yeah, quite a complex. And here we are driving past the forest that was planted, how long ago, Real?
About 12 years.
12 years ago, and those trees are looking about 4 meters tall.
Yeah, they're getting up
They're
there.
pretty big. And yeah, so even though it's very cold here, the spruce trees do come back very nicely. And but still, it's a good 90 years before we have a tree that that can be harvested, right? Or do you
Right.
think these would be earlier than that?
Maybe another 80 or something.
80 years? When you want to? Should you and I go back in there in 80 years?
Yeah, we're gonna make a plan. We're gonna drink a bottle of wine back.
Sounds like a good idea. I'll get a shot of Real in the picture. You can. Real is the general manager, one of our partners here, and yeah, that's a nice. Hey, a pine tree got in there.
Oh, maybe the odd one.
The odd one. Okay.